Hello and welcome to another episode of the Landscaper Grow Show. My name is Mark Lamberth. I'm your host. Today I'm speaking with Dustin Walker at Landscape St. Louis in St. Louis. Dustin, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, so really interesting story. We've talked here before the show. I'm really excited to unpack what you're up to and how you're kind of approaching all this. I'd love to start just by hearing what services you provide for your customers.
Right on. Yeah, so we're a landscape design build firm. That's our primary objective, is to design and build landscapes around St. Louis. We do all hardscapes and all softscapes. We do majority of work in-house, except for a couple items like masonry and concrete, heavy concreting jobs, which we sub out for. But we try to be a full service system. We also do high-end maintenance care for beds, garden beds. We're really not focused on lawns. It's really typically high-touch horticultural best practices care to your gardens. And so typically we work on estates with that kind of work, and that have a lot of garden beds and a lot of needs for correct horticulture care.
Okay, beautiful. In any type of maintenance, sort of, lawn care, lawn mowing, that type of thing, or is it mostly project work?
We will accept the occasional lawn applications projects with clients that we do high volume business with, because we're there enough that we have the capacity to add that on as a service. But typically we don't want to we want to focus on our niche, which is real in-depth understanding of plant and plant care.
Amazing. Okay. And so you acquired the business. It's been in the St. Louis area for decades, 39 years. Is that correct?
That's right. 39 long years.
And we talked about it. So you come from a different background. You do not have a landscaping background.
No, sir, none at all, except for my own gardens that I've looked after in my life.
Oh, man, that is incredible. And so I'd love to hear the story about how this all sort of unfolded, how you decided to purchase a landscaping company and to get into this all.
Right on. I'll try and give you the nutshell. So I started out in photography, of all things. Well, I'm born and raised Australian. My accent's a little obvious sometimes. And I moved out here when I was 19 years old to play college baseball in California. That went really well. And then I got a degree in photography. And I stayed in LA for 12 years. And I ran a media agency out there and did work all up and down the West Coast, had freelancers working for me around the country. It was a really fun business. I ended up selling that off to all my freelancers. And then I moved into the corporate world because I wanted more experience as a leader. I realized I was good enough, but not great. And so I wanted to move somewhere that could help guide me, could mentor me as a better leader in that industry. So I stuck with photography. I got a job at a large corporation called Contractor Group. They're a Fortune 500 company, huge conglomerate in the real estate sector, has about 30 companies under their banner. And then I ended up leading operations for them eventually. About 400 photographers in their organization were under my watch around the world, which was really cool, really fun navigation. They taught me a lot about leadership, a lot about professional ability to guide and mentor and organize a large-scale team. And so that was really exciting learning curve in my career. But as I continued to grow with them, my growth was capped if I didn't want to move to their headquarters in Richmond, Virginia. And at that stage, my wife and I moved to St. Louis, and that was just off the table. And so I re-looked at what I wanted in life, and I've always loved entrepreneurship. I've always loved owning something and being responsible for the outcome. And with the corporate world, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of black and white policy. And I always considered, to be successful in that world, you have to do things a certain way. And sometimes it disrupts your own integrity. And so, to say lightly, and I always thought I could do things differently, and maybe that would be better for people. People in your charge, because I don't believe in being in charge of people. I believe you have people in your charge. And so I decided I was going to look for a business that I could acquire. I'd saved up enough at this point to make a sizable contribution to an acquisition. And I went on the hunt for about a year. And about midway through that journey, I was looking at every business at that point. Then midway through that journey, I landed in landscaping as my primary search. Something about it was always nostalgic. My dad and I grew up building our childhood home and doing all the hardscaping and softscaping development of that property. And there was something nostalgic there for me that was just rooted inside excitement and passion. And so I leaned into that. And then I found Landscape St. Louis, and I met the owners at the time, Ronald Gedeker and Mary Alice Gedeker, just phenomenal humans, charismatic and just trustworthy people who built a business that took care of people. And that was something that was really important to me. And so here I am today, a year and a half in, and not looking back one step.
Wow, that is an amazing story. So having experience in the business world in entrepreneurship, I'm actually very familiar with CoStar.
Very
those
cool.
guys. Yeah. I had numerous accounts with them, and
Okay.
commercial real estate and what those guys are up to.
Yep.
And so having all of that experience, I mean, I get the sense that you had really a fairly detailed kind of search box of what you were looking for, as a new business to acquire, and had a lot of different opportunities, could go in any direction. Other than the kind of nostalgic piece of growing up with your dad and doing this type of work, what other business fundamentals are there about the landscaping industry that drew you?
Well, some of them are intangible. So it was about being proud of work at the end of the day, not something you're just selling and trying to sell again and sell again. It's something that you believe in. So part of this industry, it was about believing in the work that we do and that the contributions we make to individuals. So again, it wasn't a commercial landscaping company I wanted to go and acquire. It was a residential, because I wanted to impact homeowners and the way they use their space every single day. That was a really important feature to me. The other one, as far as just like a business core, there were certain fundamentals that I was looking at. It was, what is the SDE? How much working capital needs to be provided to be able to fund this for the first few months? Because I'm probably not going to be making enough in the bank to be able to, because I was buying in a winter, which clearly is the bad season for landscaping. So I was clearly going to have to fund a lot of it in the beginning. And then it was looking at tenure of employees. It was looking at client base and client size. There were a lot of pieces that just had to make sense for the acquisition.
Got it. Okay. How many folks do you have on the team right now?
We started with 10 a year and a half ago. We have 16 today.
Wow. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And have you been working specifically on growing the business? I mean, in case I've got a big referral base and a lot of happy customers after 40 years in the business here. But I mean, have you focused on the kind of initiatives to grow the company at all? I mean, you've grown from 10 to 16 employees. How has that happened, or is it just kind of natural growth is happening?
Yeah, great question. So last year was a lot picking up opportunities that were on the table already. So first year in, really difficult to make any big changes to an organization without understanding why it's working the way it is. The best way to put this business itself is it was a great foundational business that was rooted in the past and not brought into the 21st century of technology and software and fuel to help drive this business a little bit further. Simple efficiencies that could create lower operational costs and give our bandwidth back. So year one was all about just identifying, learning, understanding. I spent the first 3 months in the field with my crews. It was about doing the work and understanding what that feels like.
Of course.
I can't lead if I don't know what that feels like every day, every week, every month, right? Because it's like these guys are getting up every day, every week, every month and doing it again and saying, yes, I'm coming back. Some of those days are grueling. And so that was a really big wake-up call for me. And I was also identifying where some of our opportunities are in the field. And then the next 9 months of that year was all about learning the actual operational side on the back end and establishing how do we scale with not disrupting the integrity and the brand that we already built. And so a lot of that was pretty simple. It was creating some software like Aspire software that we use today. And it was change management to bring a old school workforce to adopt a new system after, I had a foreman who's been here 31 years. So bringing him into something new was a challenge and a really exciting challenge. And watching him today use this software, use his phone every day and utilize devices to actually do his job. It's incredible to watch. It's great to see his growth and his ability to want it and be adaptable. They say you can't teach an old dog a new trick. Well, you absolutely can if you give them the right reasons and you give them the right support. So this year, yes, the scale is the goal. And we're doing that through direct marketing efforts, where we've been a referral-based company the entirety of the business. Right now, we're doing a lot of different ad focuses on Google and Facebook to try and create more new clientele, while still capitalizing on the current clientele who still need enhancements to their properties.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Amazing. So this year and next, looking at scaling the company means really growing revenues, growing profits, growing personnel inevitably.
Yep, exactly. So we're looking for 20% growth this year. We did 30% growth last year in the first year just by capitalizing on opportunities that were on the table. This year we've hired more workers, more, at the end of the day, what we sell is time as far as a business is concerned. And so we've created more billable employees and we've created more billable work. The difficulty that we're facing is creating the right work and making sure that our brand image is in the right locations and doing the right work. And so we're being very selective this year with the type of work we take on. We're turning down a lot of leads because they're coming in at a fast rate with our ad influx. And we're having to say no to a lot of things because it's just not right. So we're being very decisive on how we approach this next level of growth.
Amazing. So guys, if you're listening to this, consider going back and listening to the interview again. Dustin is just saying everything that you're talking about here, Dustin. It's just really landing. You're very, very smart. And I'm fortunate enough to have really smart people on the show that I'm able to talk to and hear how they've gone about putting together their business. I just love this. I love folks acquiring a business. I love that you have had experience in other fields and brought, experience and capital to it. And we're very discerning. You're going to do incredible things, I think, as you and your team know. Amazing. Well, Dustin, if folks are in the St. Louis here, let me ask you this geographic area that you guys work in. What is that? It's the St. Louis area and plus the larger county. Is that correct?
Yeah, St. Louis and the larger counties. We're predominantly in St. Louis Metro inside of this little pocket that's called Frontenac and Ladue and Huntley and Town and Country. That's our predominant area that we're working in. But yeah, we're out bordering areas as well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, if you're in those areas and looking for a great landscaping company to work with, Dustin, what are some great ways to get in touch with you guys?
Seek us out on social media, seek us out on our website. We have a contact form you can reach out on. If you're looking for a career, we have a careers page on our website. Feel free to apply. We're looking to create careers, not just jobs, really focused on the people. So seek us out anyway, or give us a call. Our number's listed on Google Maps and Apple Maps, and give us a bell anytime.
Fantastic. Yeah, they've got a beautiful website. It really shows their work, a lot of great photos, and that's over at landscapestlouis.com. Fantastic, Dustin. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all your experience, man.
Thanks, Mark. It was a pleasure, mate.